Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. I hope you are having a great day. Let's start with today's stories. Am I the idiot for prioritizing my friend's premature baby over my husband's birthday? My 30 female husband's 32 male birthday was coming up at the weekend. I hadn't planned anything specific, but we were going to celebrate with our daughter, 11 months. In the meantime, my friend, 30 female, who has a son, 2 years, had just given birth to her daughter prematurely at 23 weeks. Her family life is difficult, so she didn't have much support around her. These are times when you need to rally around and support. I offered to look after her son so she could spend quality time with her daughter. I picked him up from school a couple of times and took care of him, and he stayed over at our house a couple of nights. As it neared the weekend of my husband's birthday, I told him that if I had to pick up a friend's son that week, it would mean the baby girl had taken a turn for the worst. As it happened, by Friday I was asked to pick him up and he was due to stay with us over the weekend. When my husband got home that Friday and realized friend's son was with us, he started sulking and giving me the silent treatment. When I confronted him and told him he was acting selfish, he called me a C-word whilst holding my daughter in his arms. I was gobsmacked. We carried on with the weekend. 3 days later, the baby girl died. For context, we had been having a lot of ups and downs in our relationship and were not in the best place. A few months later, my brother-in-law tried to talk to us to help resolve some of the issues we were having. When the situation about the baby came up, he said he was upset that his birthday was ruined and he hoped that by making an effort for his day, it would have helped with the issues we were having. I couldn't believe it. Am I the idiot for not prioritizing his birthday? OP gives more information in the comments. Info: since you knew watching your friend's son was a possibility, did you ask if doing so on his birthday was okay with your husband? Did you try in advance to work out contingency plans with him to celebrate his birthday on a different day or in a way the child wouldn't disrupt it? Did you actually think to make specific plans with him given the rough state of your marriage, or even realize those circumstances might make celebrating his birthday in a meaningful way more important? Was one of his issues a feeling that you routinely prioritized everyone but him? I don't have enough info here to make a judgment, but it's not unreasonable to analogize that you were in a sinking boat, your marriage, and your friends were in a sinking boat, their daughter's health crisis, and you spent all your time bailing out the water in their boat. Obviously, if you look at it as a spouse's bad birthday versus a friend's dying child, your husband was being petty. But you've admitted there was a bigger picture here and you ignored it in the moment. Thank you for your response. I didn't ask if looking after my friend's son was okay with my husband. I gave him a heads up that if I was asked to pick him up on Friday, then things had taken a turn for the worst. I assumed 2 things, which may be wrong on my part, that is to assume. 1, that he understood the seriousness of what that meant, and 2, that he wouldn't put himself before that given the circumstances. It's not something I would ever do, so I didn't expect him to either. Again, I understand how that could be wrong on my part. In the aftermath of the arguments that followed, I explained that he too made assumptions by expecting that we weren't going to do anything to celebrate. To be honest, we probably would have gone for a simple lunch or dinner, in which case I would have asked my mom and sisters, who we live close to and who knows my friend's son, to watch him for an hour or 2. My friend would have been okay with that. One of his issues about becoming a parent was that he wouldn't be able to prioritize himself anymore. He tore himself up about whether he'd still be able to do his hobbies, etc., etc. He saw a life coach who told him that he needs to be the best version of himself in order to be the best dad/husband, etc., etc. Which is good advice, I get it, makes sense. But for my husband, it sent him on a spiral of complete selfishness, in my opinion. Hope that answers some of your questions. OP continues to give more info. A baby died, so it was a life or death situation. We had already had the discussion that if I had to pick him up during that week, it would mean that it was unlikely the baby would pull through. That conversation happened. If it was going to fall on me to pick him up, then that also meant that was the only option. I could explain why there was no one else, but it's not my place to on a public forum. This was also discussed. Going out to eat on his birthday was not going to be the thing that repaired the relationship. Showing some level of empathy for the situation would have repaired some of the damage in my eyes. Maybe it's just me, but I don't want to be in a relationship where I have to ask my husband prior to helping someone in a life or death situation. If he doesn't understand or respect my values, then it's never going to work out. If I could turn back time, I would have done the same again. The only thing I would do differently is communicate my intentions more clearly, but I absolutely would never ask permission. I can confirm this wasn't the first time he swore at me, and he is verbally abusive. I don't swear in my day-to-day life and wasn't raised that way. I get other people are different and swear in their day-to-day life. I made it clear that I do not want to be sworn at and find it offensive, but he continued to do so on multiple occasions. Look, I understand wanting to do something nice for your birthday. But this is an emergency, a matter of life and death, literally. In this case, your husband's birthday ranks low in your priorities. You are a great person for helping your friend, and husband should be proud of you, not upset, let alone curse you, and in front of your daughter, makes it even worse. What the hell is wrong with him? From what you said, your marriage hasn't been good for a while, and it's not the first time he's acted like that with you. Normally, when a couple has problems, I believe that conversation and therapy can help to recover the relationship. But from what you said, he is abusive and controlling with you. I don't know if this marriage is worth fighting for. The combination of his lack of empathy for your friend's heartbreak situation, plus the way he treats you, makes me wonder if you shouldn't get out of this relationship. You have to think about what's best for you and your daughter, and if this is the kind of environment you want her to grow up in. But no, OP, you're definitely not the idiot. Not the idiot. Why are you still trying to work things out with a man who would talk to you like that in front of your child? By staying, you are telling her that his behavior is okay. It's hard to move past this particular issue, for that exact reason. Not the idiot. Your friend's child was dying. You could have taken the little boy with you, you could have gotten fancy takeout. There are lots of ways you could have made it work, but your husband went straight to calling you vile names. Not the idiot. Sadly, it looks like this should be the end of your marriage. Just think about it for a moment. Your husband selfishly put himself over an infant, and one that was in critical condition at the time. Any sane, non-self-absorbed individual would understand that plans don't go as normal when there are an emergency. You did the correct thing in helping your friend, as any sane person would do. Your husband is showing you that he has no actual intention on working on your marriage, which is a team effort. He's only concerned about himself. Continue being there for your friend and start getting things in order to protect yourself and your child. 1. A grown man thinking his birthday is the most important thing in the world is a red flag. 2. A partner who tells you he hoped that you would make some effort to help our problems is a red flag. 3. A man who would even think of speaking to his partner that way, much less actually doing it, is a massive red flag. Doing it in front of children? Holy hell, OP. I can't see through all these flags. Get out of there. And what do you guys think? What would you do if you were OP? Do you know anyone like OP's husband? Leave your comments down below. Oh, and don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications to know when a new video is out. Now let's go to the next story. Am I the idiot for fighting with my mom after my cousin cut up her wedding dress? My other male cousin got engaged recently, and it brought up the conversation of weddings and wedding dresses with my mom and I. A little bit of background: my mom had a beautiful custom wedding dress made for her when she got married in the 90s. Her sister, my aunt, asked to borrow it to wear for her own wedding years later, and my mom agreed. The dress was later returned to my mom. When I was 16 or so, I expressed that I thought the dress was pretty, and my mom asked me if I'd like to wear it one day for my wedding. I said yes. A few years later my cousin Jiao got engaged and asked my mom to cut pieces of the dress to add to her own. Since she had already promised it to me, my mom asked me first if I was okay with it. I said I wasn't, since I still wanted to wear the dress for my own wedding. My mom said okay, and I thought that was that. Today we were talking about taking my male cousin's fiancé dress shopping, and I mentioned how I would miss out on doing that. Through that conversation my mom told me then that she'd given the pieces of her dress to Jia after all, and forgot to let me know. I was upset. First, she tried to tell me she thought I okayed it, until I reminded her of the actual conversation. She then said she thought I wouldn't really care that much and that I'd understand Jia wanted to have a part of her mom's dress. Remember, my aunt wore it too. Then she brought up how I'm not even engaged yet, dating for 7 years, and she thought my taste for the dress would have changed by now. She said I could still use other pieces of the dress Jia left behind. I'm still upset. This was something very important to me for the sentimental value the dress held. I wouldn't have minded if it was lent to my cousin intact, but the fact that it's been cut up means I can never wear my mom's wedding dress the way she promised me. I know that ultimately though, she's allowed to do what she wants with it because it's her dress. My aunt wore the dress too, so it makes sense that Jia be offered to wear it. But cutting it up? Going back on the promise? Not telling me? I feel like I was wronged here by both my mom and my cousin Jia. But am I just being entitled? Edited for clarity. Edit, even though Jia knew I wanted to wear the dress, we talked about it before, she never asked me if she could cut it up, only my mom. I don't know if she knew that I had said no. You are definitely not the idiot OP. I am so sorry that your mother lied to you and that your cousin ruined the dress you were going to wear in your wedding. This looks like a scene from that movie, 27 Dresses. And it wasn't okay to do that in the movie, it's still not okay to do it in real life. But since we don't know if she knew you wanted to wear the dress or if she knew you were against cutting parts of it, I can't say she was an idiot in that situation either. Who ended up being the wrong one in the story was your mom. I think that in wanting to please everyone, she ended up making a lot of mistakes. Yeah, I know it was her dress and she could do whatever she wanted with it, but she had no reason to lie and hide her decision from you. And then, she tried to gaslight you when you found out about her lie, like, what the F? I'm sorry about the dress OP, but no, you're not the idiot of this story. And what do you guys think of this situation? Do you think OP is right or is she overreacting? Would you do what OP's mom did? Or OP's cousin? Leave your thoughts down below. Now let's go to the comments. Not the idiot. Your mother is. It is true that it is hers, and she can do whatever she wants, but she put her niece's very strange desire to cut up the dress and ruin it for all time ahead of you, her daughter with a normal desire to wear the dress as is. My cousin is a very fashion-forward person who follows trends and whatnot. She had a very trendy dress that she wanted to add sentimentality to. My mom's dress is a bit older, so I could understand modernizing it a bit, and honestly I may have done one slight alteration to the neckline myself. But Jia took actual pieces of the lacy bodice straight off of the bust and waist a la Regina George. It's not wearable anymore the way she cut it up. Not the idiot, your mom is absolutely awful for lying to you and destroying your wedding dress. This would freaking kill me, not gonna lie. It would take a long time before I spoke to her again. Not the idiot. What you feel is fully justified. And I don't think it's as much about the dress, though it's certainly a part, as it is about your mother's dismissal of how important it was to you. While, yes, the dress still was hers to do with as she liked, she had made a very important promise to you. One she knew was a big deal, evidenced by her asking you about Jia cutting things from it. She broke that promise, at a time when she knew fully that you would be upset about it, and consciously didn't tell you. She didn't even limit Gia's cut from making the dress unusable. Sadly, there's little you can do but work through your emotions and hopefully let the worst of them go. Not the idiot. It's very hurtful that your mother asked you about giving away a piece of the dress but then ignored your answer and did it anyway. Not the idiot. Your mom went back on something she said, and she made excuses for why she did it. You aren't engaged. She assumed your taste would change. My mom has done similar things and I know how it feels. I'm sorry. And that's it for today, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. And to have more content like this, don't forget to click on one of the videos or on the playlist that is appearing on the screen for you. Until next time.